Thank you, everyone, for being here with us this evening. Hen, our guest speaker, is on his way. He's stuck in traffic, so he should be here shortly. We want to welcome all those that are live streaming. As right now we have 49 cities, 3 countries online. The latest one that just came on is from Lake Cove, Australia. We have Leander, Texas, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, of course, Seattle, Portland, Oregon, let's see, Lebanon, Oregon, Napa, California, Midvale, Utah, of course, Puyallup, Jacksonville, Florida, Eureka, California, Mercer Island, Vancouver, Washington. Let's see, who else? Federal Way, Winchester, Tennessee. Let's see, what other places? Harrisonville, Missouri. We've got Stockbridge, Georgia. Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Oak Park, Michigan. Just all over. So let's give them a big hand, all those that are joining with us as well. One of the things that I thought we'd do while we're waiting for Hen, and this is something that people have said that they've wanted to do for a long time anyway, and that is, we'll open it up for any questions, theological or whatever, or something you've always wanted to ask me that I might be able to answer if you guys have any questions. So I guess we'll just get started right now. I see that hand. Yes. Say it real loud so everyone can hear, and I can repeat it to the people live streaming. Okay, sure. The question is, this last Shabbat, I've been known to talk fast. So I'll slow down a little bit. What was interesting, they knew at the Exodus that redemption had come because one of the things that Joseph said, God will surely visit you. And the Torah portion, which is Shemot, which is coming up this weekend, I'm going to be talking just about God comes and he says to tell the children of Israel that I have surely visited them. Okay, so it's like there's this key. And if you remember, Joseph said, be sure to take my bones with you when you go back when God visits you. So they knew that redemption had come back in the Exodus when Joseph's tomb was empty. And then I said they knew in the Brit Hadashah when Joseph of Arimathea's tomb was empty, redemption had come. See the connection there? All right. Hey, and Hen is here. Let's give Hen a big hand. Yay! Woohoo!
Good to see you.
Now you know Seattle traffic if you haven't gotten used to it yet.
You can't get used to it. It's always bad.
We're so glad to have him here with us this evening. How long ago was it that you were here? Was it a year? 6?
Yeah, almost a year. It was
almost a year ago. And if you remember when he first came, he was surprised. He went to this one meeting and here was this fellow speaking who happened to be in Israel the same time he was, and he had an encounter with him. And he had brought that up, and he did not get a very good response when he first got here. So we wanted to hear what's all transpired over this last year. So let's give Hen a big hand.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thanks again for having me. It's always a pleasure. On the way here, I thought about how amazing it is that this is one of the most supportive places that I spoke at. So I want to thank you all for coming here today and to show your support to me and support to the state of Israel and for what's just and what's right. So I don't know, how many of you guys been here last time that I spoke and heard me? Okay, so you know me already. Good to see you all again. I'm not good with names. So I'm Hen Mazig. I'm 24 years old. I was born and raised in Israel. I lived there all my life. And I chose this slide, if we can show it, to start my presentation with. I chose to call my presentation, We Shall Overcome. I feel that today there's a fight for Israel legitimacy in the world, which is really weird that Israel needs to fight, I mean, for any country, to fight for its right to exist. You know, many times when I'm speaking, I need to defend Israel's right to exist. And it's obscure that a country needs people to fight for its right to exist. I mean, no other country in the world needs to do it. No other country has so many people challenging the right of this country to exist. And although it's really hard, because when I came here from Israel, I thought that I'll be here talking about all the amazing things that Israel has done for humanity and all the amazing innovation that is coming from Israel and the good side about Israel. And instead of that, since I came here in January, I feel like I just need to fight over and over again in those battles against people that challenging Israel's right to exist. So it's a fight. It's a fight, and you know, I served in the West Bank. I served in Ramallah and in Hebron and in Jerusalem, and when I arrived here, I thought, you know, I didn't expect to come here for a battle, to a battle against people that fight as strong as the people that I used to see in the West Bank and in the Gaza Strip. It was people. Many times you see people with hate, and I didn't expect to see it in college campuses, American college campuses. It was beyond my understanding. So. This is myself and my grandmothers. I'm always starting my presentation with my grandparents because I think that this is something that I learned here, that people challenging also the fact that the Jewish people are the indigenous people to the land of Israel. The Jewish people are the indigenous people for the land of Israel. Yeah. And you know, I'm always saying that, check the numbers, don't take my word of it, check the numbers, check the history. Who was there first? Who was the archaeological finds that we keep on finding all the time in Israel, just keep on proving the fact that the Jewish people were living there. So people will take just a time frame that will work for them, and they will say, okay, but take 100 years ago. No, take even more than that. Take 1,000 years ago, take 2,000 years ago, take 3,000 years ago. Who was there first? So it's not a story about, as I'm hearing many times in college campuses, they're saying, you know, you are a white European Jew that came to colonialize a country. So my grandparents came to Israel from Iraq and Tunisia. I don't speak German, and I don't speak any language that is European language. I'm a Jewish person from Arab descendants, and almost 1 million Jewish people were kicked out from the Arab world. Almost 1 million Jewish people were forced out from Arab countries between the years of 47 to 72. And that's the story of my grandparents. And I shared it with you the last time, but it's important for me to remind everyone, who are the refugees? Who are the real refugees? Who are the people that lost everything they had? They lost their property, they lost their land, they lost their culture, a huge culture, amazing culture of the Babylonian Jews from Baghdad and Iraq, my family, or the Tunisian Jews, or Jews from Morocco, or Jews in Libya. In Libya, there's not even one single Jewish person alive. They were all ethnically cleansed. When we're talking about the indigenous people of the land of Israel, the native people of their country, it's not some white people that came and controlled the land, as people accuse me of. 50% of Israel population. Israel is so diverse. There's people from all over the world that came together. But it's a story of people that came again and built a country that was destroyed so many times throughout history. But this time we show the world something new. You know, if you in the past we used to be chased, we used to be prosecuted, and we never stood up. But now we have a country of our own, and we are going to stand up, and we will not let you. We will not let you do what you did to us in the past. We will fight. We will fight with the help of you guys. And I want to talk today about what we can do to fight. This is a picture of myself when I was little. So I want to talk to you today about what I experienced here in the last 6 months. Hey, Jeff. I want to talk to you guys about what I experienced here since January. I came here in January. I went back home. And I came back because the fight was so amazing for me. So for an Israeli kid that never experienced anything like that, that just grew up in Petach Tikva. It's a few miles from Tel Aviv, and I never thought that I would have to fight this kind of war. And I want to tell you what goes on in college campuses that I visited. I visited many college campuses, many high schools as well. I spoke to over 18,000 people in the last 6 months. I'm sorry, I keep on saying 6 months. It's 8 months now, 9 months. And the things that I heard were astonishing. It seems that there's like a wave of propaganda machine that is trying to wash people's minds and make them think that everything that the Jewish country is doing is wrong, that Israel is this awful place that is conducting violations against human rights every day, mass killing Palestinians, or all these insane ideas. And I was there. I mean, I was born in Israel. I lived in the West Bank for 5 years, in the West Bank, Judea and Samaria. And it's mind-blowing that in the 30s they used to say Jews go to Palestine, and now they're saying Jews get out of Palestine, and they're saying you should go back to where you came from. And I'm saying, okay, so let the Jews go back to Judea and the Arabs go to Arabia, and then we settle the conflict, right? But that's another funny thing, that people don't care about the fact. They don't care about who was there first and who was living where, and the Jewish presence in this country, in our land. So I had some. So I was thinking about telling you about what's going on in college campuses, and before that I thought maybe I should tell you some more stories about the West Bank, or some more stories from my time in the army, but I don't think it's, I can share with you guys many stories, and I hope I can come back again in the future. But I feel like this is something that we can all do something about. We all have the ability to change it. I can talk to you about Syria and tell you that 200,000 people has been killed there, and someone needs to do something. Or I can tell you about Egypt, of what's going on there, or in the Gaza Strip, where they shoot over 16,000 rockets. 16,000 rockets. Can you imagine someone shooting one rocket towards America? 16,000 rockets. We can talk about that, but I don't think this is relevant. This is something that we can do, that you guys can really act for. Your prayers are very important, but I think there is also an action that you can do, and ways to help us out with this fight on the public opinion, on college campuses, on this amazing fight. So let me share some stories with you to give you a sense of what's going on college campuses. Sometimes I'm getting to college campus, and there's protests outside. People are standing outside with signs. You're gonna listen to an Israeli killer. You're gonna listen to an occupier. So I never killed anyone in my life. I once punched my brother, but he deserved it. We got into a fight, and he deserved this punch. So I never hurt anyone in my life, and before I even get into a classroom, because I am an Israeli Jew, I obviously kill so many people, and then I'm getting to inside the lectures, and many times I'm having Jewish students in the lectures listening to my story about growing up in Israel, and they come to me in the end. I had one student that came to me and took off his Star of David necklace, and he put it out, and he said, Hen, after you spoke here in my school, I think it's the first time that I can actually wear it on over my shirt and actually be proud of what I am. Throughout the years, there was a lot of effort to divide the Jews themselves, to make them fight against each other. And you see today organizations like Jewish Voice for Peace. I don't know if you heard about this organization. It's an awful organization. And I mean, even the name, Jewish Voice for Peace. What do you mean, that most Jews are not for peace? We need a voice for peace from within the Jewish community, because all of us are crazy that want to fight all the time. So this organization, an organization like this, bringing Jewish people and using them as a cover for their propaganda and for their fights to divide the Jewish community. And you see them, how they use Jewish students and trying to make Jewish students feel ashamed about Israel, or being ashamed about being Jewish. And they're doing they're doing an awful thing, but they're doing a great job in doing this awful thing. And you see today that they are saying, well, we're Jewish, so we need to be part of the Jewish tent, and we need to have our say in the discussion about Israel. And they're using the fact that they are Jewish to delegitimize Israel and to demonize Israel and to make people think that even the Jews themselves can't even figure out the situation. Even the Jews can't stand up for the brothers in Israel, so why would you support Israel? And many Jewish students are falling for this. And you know, a friend of mine compared it, and he said, for us to bring Jewish Voice for Peace, to tell us how we should not live in Israel and we should all be, you know, kicked out of Israel before we can even talk about anything. It's just like, you know, the Black Student Union would bring a representative of the KKK to tell them how they have no rights. It's the same thing. Bringing someone like that to speak, they're not part of the conversation. The conversation is okay as long as you recognize that Israel has the right to exist as a free Jewish country. There's just one free Jewish country in the whole world. And some accusations are when I'm getting from students in the crowd standing up and saying, how dare you say that Israel is a democracy when it's a Jewish country? Having a Jewish country is a racist idea. So first of all, to be Jew is not a race, although they tried to do it in the past. You know, we're hearing the same things in the past that we have. The Jew race, we need to clean the Jew race from the word. So to be Jewish is not a race, so Jewish country is not a racist idea. And there's 57 Muslim Arab countries that I don't hear anyone saying anything about it. I mean, no one is challenging that. So why are we challenging the only Jewish country in the world? A funny story, you know, sometimes it gets very radical. I was speaking in a university, and there was a group of hecklers standing in the back of the room, like 10 people screaming at me with signs, and they were taken out by the security man that was in the room. And there was one lady that she was in her 50s that kept on screaming at me. And I asked the security man, why aren't you taking her out? And he said, I can't because she's a faculty member and she's protected. So I said, okay. Professor, I'm sure that in your lectures, people are screaming at you and you can still concentrate, but for me it's really hard. So if you can respect the fact that I'm trying to speak to the students. And she said, I will leave, but I have one question for you before I will leave. And before that, she was accusing me in all many things. So she said, I have a question. I said, okay, what's your question? Ask. And she said, how many Palestinians were raped by the Israeli soldiers in the last 5 years? I said, first of all, it's an awful question, but you know what? Actually, my unit is responsible to make sure that those things won't happen. And in the last 5 years, there was not even one single complaint about sexual harassment by Israeli soldiers. She said, I know it. And I have a research here, and she takes out this research, and she's saying, this research is proving that your army is so racist, and you're not raping the Palestinians because you're disgusted by them, and that shows you how of a racist, awful army you have. To make sure that you get it right, she was saying that we are not conducting sexual harassment because we are racist and we are disgusted by them. And then the audience turned around to me and waited for an answer. Not all of them were understood it as you guys, and they waited for an answer. And I said, well, so how many Palestinians do you want us to sexually harass to stop being racist? What would be the... It gets so radical. Those people will build, you know, those amazing stories. And if you look up online, after I gave the lecture and all this incident happened, I looked up online, and there's actual research that a PhD student did, and he found out that the fact that Israel is so moral is because we are racist people.
What university was that?
It was Sacramento City College. Sacramento City College, yeah. And, but it's not just there, you know, in Berkeley I experienced things that are similar, in University of Washington, in Western Washington. I never got to Evergreen, but that's because I'm afraid for my life. I mean, I will go there, but I will bring my battalion with me from Israel before we'll go there. So yeah, it gets very radical, but you know, I think that it keeps on enforcing me that there's a huge problem, and we need to fight against that. And you know, it's all the time you need to be politically correct, and all the time you need to be careful not to say something that will offend anyone. But when people are heckling me, no one cares about if I'll be offended or not. No one cares when they stand in the crowd and scream at me that I'm a killer and that I'm an occupier and colonialist and this accusation, Israel is a colonialist state. No, colonialism is when a country is taking over another country to get natural resources. When Israel was created, it was just a desert and a swamp. There wasn't anything else other than that, And now there wasn't any natural resource to colonialize and to bring to other countries. To which other country are we talking about? It's not. It was people that came back to their country and came back to the land, and this is something that is so hard for many students to understand. And I feel like American students are a unique species. Yeah, I think that they actually feel, they feel like standing up and screaming to this Israeli soldier that is coming to talk to them about good things that it's done will change the situation in the Middle East. Or, the fact that they stood up and called me a liar and a killer and a rapist, or the fact that I'm not raping enough, or calling me all those awful things, that will change the situation in the Middle East and that will bring peace. But they know it's not doing anything. They know they're not changing anything. They know that they're doing it to feel better about themselves. And they go back home and they feel very good about themselves. And, oh, what a hero I am. I stood up against this kid and I screamed at him and I made him feel so bad about himself. And now the world would be a better place. It's not. And I'm dealing with this, all this insanity. It is insanity. And let me give you another example. Many times I'm hearing the accusation about the wall of the West Bank. You probably heard it before. The apartheid wall that Israel is conducting on apartheid. It's funny that Israeli Arabs that got their PhD in Tel Aviv University, and it was sponsored by the Israeli government, they are the one that leads these calls for apartheid. And I don't know, Israel paid for your degree and you are saying that you don't have freedom for education, so it's lies, first of all. But second, this big wall that they're talking about, I remember that I heard that back when I was in Israel, when I was serving in the IDF, and I remember driving around this wall, and I looked for the wall and I couldn't find it, because 96% of this fence that protects Israel, 96% of it is a fence. It was built in 2003 as a security fence, security barrier. And 4% out of this fence is a wall, is a cement wall to protect from snipers that used to shoot into Israel. And this is something that is repetitive all the time. How dare you build a fence? How many countries have fences to protect their borders? I think America has one as well in the south. So there's so many countries, and those fences that countries build, it's not fences or walls, whatever it is. It's not to protect from terrorists. Sometimes, in the case of America, the fence that America has, or the barrier that America has in the south, is to protect from immigrants, right? So Israel have a fence to save lives, and we're not afraid that Palestinians will get in and get jobs. We would do that if they would want to come in peacefully and get a job. They can go, through a checkpoint and get a job. We don't have a problem with that. The fence is there to save lives. And it seems like American students, American college students just can't get it. Why do you need to protect it? I wish there would be one world with no borders and everyone can live together and, we can sit around and sing Kumbaya all day long. I would love that. Who wouldn't love that? But the situation is not like that. And Israel has threats, and there's enemies around Israel, and there's enemies around the world. There's enemies in America, as I experienced, I feel that it comes from within. The same hate that I remember, the same hate that I saw in my military service is the same hate that I'm seeing here on college campuses. And it's the same sort of terrorism, and it's to terrorize anyone that will support Israel. So if you're supporting Israel, they would immediately taint you as a right-wing. You're a right-wing radical, we're not listening to you. Why? Are you a liberal that supports free speech, so that's why you won't listen to me, because I'm a right-wing radical? And it's funny that the right wing is the one that is open for different opinions. But the left wing is the one that is very shutting down and saying, no, 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 we will not listen to you, we will not have a dialogue with you. But we support free speech, you know. Yeah. So the BDS movement is how many of you heard about it before? Okay, so but the BDS movement is an anti-Semitic movement that it was defined as anti-Semitic by the ADL, by the Simon Wiesenthal Center, and so on. It stands for the boycott, divestment, and sanctions of Israel. They are going through different ways to isolate Israel. They're saying that Israel is an apartheid state. The scary thing is that there's no apartheid in Israel. You know, there's equality for everyone, whether you be black, you'd be white, you'd be a Jew, a Muslim, a Christian. In Israel, you're free. And my biggest fear is that there's no apartheid. So this isolation of Israel will not bring to the end of nothing, because it is a democracy, so it's not going to change anything. But I'm worried about what it will do and how it will affect Israel, and it's something that we should all of us that loves Israel need to be concerned about. So it stands for the boycott, divestment, and sanctions. They are calling for, they're saying that just like in the case of South Africa apartheid, when they used this method of isolating South Africa, it got to a point that the regime collapsed and the government collapsed, and they could implement a new way of governing. So now they're saying Israel is the same thing, and we need to bring to the collapse of Israeli government. And you see them they're going through the media, they're going through economic boycott of companies, Israeli companies or American companies that support Israel, like HP or Caterpillar and so on, Boeing. They also go through, boycotting SodaStream. You know what SodaStream is? Yeah. SodaStream is this Israeli device that was developed in Israel that you use, that makes you put regular water in it and it makes a soda out of it, like a pop, and you can add different flavors. So now they have campaigns on for instance, they just they launched a new campaign in Sur Latab in Seattle. And Jewish Voice for Peace asked all their followers, all the anti-Israel followers, the haters, to go on the website and write bad reviews about SodaStream because it's an Israeli company. So you see tons of reviews saying, the soda was bad, and also Israel is occupying the Palestinian land, or the flavor of the cherry wasn't that good, and Israel is an apartheid state. And you see all these comments, and it's ridiculous how they do it, but they are trying to bring to the isolation. So SodaStream actually have an office, they have a factory in the West Bank, and they hire almost 800 Palestinians in their factory. And they're being paid I mean, 6 times more they would get paid in any average job in the West Bank. And they want this job, and they get health insurance from Israel that is much better. I mean, Israel health insurance is very good, and they get health insurance from Israel for their work there. So it's an amazing way of coexistence, and those people, the BDS, is calling to boycott them and to destroy them, because that will make them feel good about themselves, to boycott the Jewish state and the Jewish people. So that's one way that they're going through to boycott. They boycott Ahava, which it's the Dead Sea products, and so that's the economic pressure that they want to put on Israel. The second channel that they're going through is academic boycott, to boycott Israeli academia, and they want to boycott Israeli universities. They want to boycott Israeli academias that scholars that come in from Israel, to boycott them all and to isolate them. I'm from Israel, and the academia in Israel is usually the left wing, it's the liberal people that many times oppose Israel in many ways, and to boycott them, the people that actually oppose Israel is kind of dumb, but it just shows the true nature. The nature is to destroy Israel. It doesn't matter what Israel would do. So that's another channel. And actually just yesterday, the American Studies Association has approved the boycott of Israel, and the academic boycott of any Israeli academia and Israeli scholars. And the American Studies Association accusing Israel in being, all these horrible things. And it's more than just double standards. It's just demonizing the Jewish country. And so that's another channel that they're going through. Another big path that they are using now is the student senates. There's student senates in every big university. Actually, most of colleges have a student senate. And what these guys are doing, they have a BDS handbook, and you can look it up online, the handbook that they're saying, use the democratic way of the student senate to get elected to the student senate. Don't show your true, don't say that you are, that you want to get elected to bring the divestment from Israel or to destroy the Jewish country. Don't say it. If people ask you, you can lie about it and cover that. But your ultimate goal is to bring the divestment from Israel. It sounds familiar, right? Can you remember another regime that tried to use democracy to get power and then use the government for their own needs? And this is what they're doing. And then when they get to the student government, they bring the divestment. They build coalition with different student groups. Most of the time, it's student groups that, if they would really know what's going on in Israel, they would never join this campaign. They target in the Black Student Union most of the times. The Black Student Union should align itself with Israel. It's all the Ethiopian Jews that find the Ethiopian Jews that found a refuge in Israel, and Israel have actually paid so much money to bring them there. I'm actually not supposed to talk about it. By the anti-Israel people will say that I'm blackwashing. There's different type of washing. Everything Israel is doing is wrong. They already agreed on that. So if Israel talks about the fair treatment of black people in Israel, it's called blackwashing. In Israel, if we are talking about the fact that Israel was the first country in Haiti when there was the big earthquake, thanks. If I'll talk about that, it will be blue washing. If I'll talk about the fact that in the Philippines, the first country that was there, one of the first countries that actually helped, it's blue washing. It's a campaign of Israel to market itself as a human rights country. And if I'll talk about fair rights of every Israeli regardless to his sexual orientation, that will be pink washing. So everything Israel is doing is wrong. You're not allowed to talk about anything that is good about Israel. And that's, again, it's part of their way to make Israel look as this worst country on earth, and you're not supposed to say anything good about Israel. Everything you're saying is just bad. So they go to the student senates, and they're going to student senates in UC Berkeley, and UC Irvine, and UC Santa Barbara, and UCLA, in University of Washington, in many universities around the country. And they try to pass a vote by the student senate to boycott Israel. So, first of all, a college student, if he's Jewish, if he's Christian, if he has a love for Israel, he should not be standing there and listening to these lies, being told. I have a video, but I'm wondering if I can show you the video real quickly and maybe use my microphone to connect it to the computer. So that's a video that was made by StandWithUs, and I think it gives a better understanding of what a divestment resolution looks like, and I think it's really important to look to watch it. So.
Today we are discussing Israel, the last standing apartheid state of our time.
Israel, through its war crimes, has divested from humanity. So tonight, humanity itself must divest from Israeli war crimes.
Israel, like South Africa, is an apartheid state.
The state of Israel has already been criticized for systemically giving Ethiopian women, Ethiopian Jews who happen to be black, vaccines that permanently sterilize them without their knowledge.
Zionism is a negation of the principles of Judaism.
Organ harvesting that's happening in the Sinai desert, which happens with the knowledge of the Israeli government.
If you vote no today, you were just as bad as Caterpillar. You're just as bad as General Electric. He knows what he's talking about! Right, Council, with a vote of 20 to 12 to 1, that passes.
So I don't know if you could have listened to the screaming, I'm sorry for the audio, but they're screaming Allahu Akbar after the divestment resolution was passed. And again, it reminds me of different things. And all this movement it was very small. In 2000, I think there was only one anti-Israel student groups on college campuses. Today we have over 80. And they're getting bigger and stronger, and they infiltrate in universities, and they're affecting the young generation, and they're affecting the young generation that at some point is going to be the leadership of America. And they whitewash they basically change their minds to be against Israel and to think that Israel is this, he was saying there that Israel is known for August harvesting in the Sinai desert, and they say that Israel is conducting medical experiments on Palestinians, and the college students that are there are listening to these lies, and they actually believe it. And so in several universities, the divestment resolution passed. It passed in UC Berkeley, in Arizona State University, in UC Irvine, UC San Diego, I think, and several student senators passed this resolution. It doesn't mean anything. It's not like Israel needs the student senate to support Israel's existence. We can do it well ourselves, but the fact that students sat through this discussion, and they had, in UC Berkeley, they brought Alice Walker, the author of The Color Purple. Jeff is laughing, but the author of The Color Purple, she's, I read some things that she wrote, and I think she's an anti-Semite. She can't be anything else. Or in interviews that she asked people, how much the Jews paid you? So she was standing there in the student senate of UC Berkeley, and she was lying about what's going on in Israel. And the students listened to her, the author of The Color Purple, standing in front of them. And they believed anything she said, and eventually they passed a resolution. So try to imagine how it is for an 18-year-old kid that is going to college, and he wants to finish his degree, and he has this love for Israel. No matter what he is, if he's Jewish, if he's Christian, if he's Muslim, no one needs to hear those things, and no one needs to fight against these things in your college campus. But this is what we're seeing today. We're seeing this fight, and they realize, and they learn, and they became very strong in what they're doing, and very smart about the way they bring in it, the way that they align themselves with students. So they go to the Black Students Union to form a coalition. They go to the LGBT Student Coalition, the gays, lesbians, bisexuals, and transsexuals on the college, and align themselves with them. Why? What do you have in common? You are calling to destroy the only democracy in the Middle East. What do you have in common with this student group? And they go to MECHA, the Latino student group, and they go into the Native American student groups. The Native Americans, you should understand us the most. We are Native too, and this is the fight. This is what we fight for. And they get these coalitions, and they build these coalitions very smartly. They write op-eds to the university newspaper, and in this way they make the university and the atmosphere very receptive to bring this divestment resolution. And they use some of these buzzwords that you can see, apartheid. Many times when students ask me, how dare you speak about Israel when it's an apartheid state? So I always ask back, well, do you know what apartheid means? 95% of them don't know what apartheid means. I'm sorry. And then I explain them what apartheid actually means, and I'm telling them, it's a way of segregation between black and white people that was held in South Africa. It's an awful thing. It has nothing to do with what's going on in Israel. They had a restroom for black people and a restroom for white people, and they had different benches even. It's not what's going on in Israel today. So after they understand what it actually means, and they keep on going with ethnic cleansing. You are ethnic cleansing the Palestinians. I'm saying, okay, we're ethnic cleansing them. How come that the Palestinian population tripled itself since Israel was created? It tripled itself. It's either the worst ethnic cleansing in the world and we should do a better job, or we're just not doing that. Genocide, the same thing. Many of them don't even know what genocide means. I'm saying, you know, some people predicted in the next 10 or 20 years, in the next 50 years, there would be a bigger Palestinian community than Jewish community in Israel. What kind of genocide are we conducting here? Restriction of movement, occupation, refugees, Islamophobia. They're using words that they don't know what they means, and this is what they heard, and they hear it from speakers that the university is bringing, or they hear it from speakers that the BDS is funding, and it's really interesting to see where the money is coming from. Most of them will keep their, you know, where their funding is coming from, but you can find many resources that are really not legitimate. Many BDS organizations will be funded by Arab countries, would be funded by European countries, would be funded by organizations that are very anti-Jewish and anti-Semites, and they're the one that's standing behind them. So I think it's also important for us to know what we're dealing with, and the fact that we didn't fight, I feel like there was a fight. The people that love Israel in America has put up a fight against it, but I think it was too weak. I don't think we did enough, and this is why people are telling me, don't fight against these people. They're crazy. Don't fight against them. Don't challenge them. What StandWithUs is doing, I'm part of StandWithUs, of this amazing group. What StandWithUs is doing is saying, if you are going to tell a lie, we are going to challenge you with the truth. And, telling a lie over and over again will make it someone's truth. And just letting lie go by without speaking the truth, without saying what's really going on and how awful what they say is, will just make the lie bigger and bigger. And that's why when they started, it was just one student group. That's why today we have almost 80, because we didn't fight and we said, okay, they can say whatever they want, they're crazy. No, you cannot say what you want. You will not say what you want. You need to say the truth. And if you're not saying the truth, well, I'm going to say the truth. I'm going to make sure that everyone around will hear the truth, because you're not allowed to say it. You're not allowed to say something that is false. And this is what we're doing, and this is why it's so important to have people that will be ready to stand up in this fight and fight for what's right. So I have the call for action. It's some things that you can do in your home. So buy Israeli goods. It's an easy way whenever you're going to the supermarket. If you see something that is Israeli, there's also lists online, so that would be something that will help Israel. Another thing that you can do is to get students involved. We are looking for more students that can help us out to fight against that. Students that care about this and have love for Israel. If you know any student who wants to get involved, you can either come to me at the end and give me details, and we can get them more involved. Actually, Shaddai is producing an amazing group of students. We have several of them that are now working with us, and they're amazing students, amazing, and they're really passionate, and they really love Israel, and it's great. You can also, if there's a student from outside of Washington, you can ask them to contact us at our email is campus@standwithus.com. It's campus@standwithus.com. Write an op-ed letters. Write an op-ed and letters when you see something that is anti-Israel that is being said in the newspaper or in any resource that you see that you can fight against it. Writing a letter is amazing, and that can go a long way. So when you see something like that, just if you can take a few minutes to do it, it will be amazing. Connect with other churches. That's a big deal. Several churches across America has boycotted Israel, has joined this effort. Especially comes from the Methodist, the Episcopalian, the Presbyterian, those kind of churches that are very anti-Israel. Some of them, I can't really generalize, because there are some of them that are open to a discussion and so on, but many of them are very strong in their anti-Israel opinions. And if you have any friends that that goes to one of these churches, if you can even have a talk to him and send him on the StandWithUs website, or send him to a website to get more information and educate himself. And I'm sure you know a lot about Israel. I mean, each and every one of you that sits here, I'm sure has a lot of information. You can go and share it with them, have a meeting with them for a coffee, and talk about your love to this country. And it's important that it will come from your heart and from your emotions, because that's another thing that I wanted to talk. I forgot to mention that, the case that they're doing against Israel, the anti-Israel case, is based only upon emotions. Whenever I'm trying to bring facts to the discussion, no one cares about facts. They don't want to get confused with the facts. They want to hear a message of how this kid from this village was killed by Israelis, and this is like that's the emotional story that they want to hear. They don't want to hear about how many people were killed on both sides, or they don't want to hear about the facts. They don't want to get confused with the facts. They just want to have the emotional stories. So that's why it's so important that it will come from your heart and from your love, and share the love that you have and make more people, love is very easy to spread. So spread your love to Israel with your friends and with your neighbors and whoever you get in touch with. And that's part of it, to educate others, to learn more than just the religious part of it. So I have my religious, and people, each and everyone has his own faith and his own beliefs, and I think that we need to take it a step forward than our religious. We should make the political case for it. That's why I love Kufa, Christians United for Israel. They're an amazing organization that take their beliefs and make it into something that is political fight. So sometimes I feel that this is needed as well, to talk about the political and the connection to the land. If I can keep on talking or give some time for questions, what do you think? All right, so I would like to open the stage for questions. When I'll finish with that quote from Psalms. He will not allow your foot to sleep. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade on your right hand. And it's strong, but it's there. And whenever I'm facing this hate, and whenever I'm fighting this fight, I always remember that it's bigger than me and it's bigger than us. It's something that, it's bigger than the fighting that I have with those people. And I know that eventually the truth will come out and the power of light will win, but we need to fight. We need to show that, while we are praying, we're also fighting, and to show that we are serious about it. And we will not let lies go by unchallenged, and we will not let people hate our people and hate our country and hate Israel, no matter what case they want to make for it. And this is why it's so awesome to see you guys here tonight, coming here, and I would love to hear some questions, and if not, we can go on again. So thank you guys so much. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
We love Hen, right? Amen. Who has a question? Raise your hand and I will bring this mic over to you. Does anyone have a question? Now's your time.
And you know that I'm kind of following this like a laser.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, when you're standing in front of a person screaming at you, and I've seen many of the videos, posted many of them, I mean, really, what goes on inside of you when you hear, and I have to call it nonsense because it is nonsense, when you hear nonsense screamed at you over and over and over again, what goes on inside of you that would cause you to stand up there and do this?
It's a great question. It's a question I'm asking myself many times. Well, what? I mean, what's going on with you? And why do you go back to, just go back to Israel? You're safe there. When people are screaming at me and saying those awful things, the first thing it does, it hurts me. No one is immune to people screaming at him. Whenever someone will scream at you, I'm sure everyone would get offended to some degree. But they're talking about my home, so it's even worse than that. Because it's one thing when someone is driving past you and screaming something at you because you caught him in the light, but it's another thing when someone is saying that you have no right to live in your home and that your home is not yours, and lying about you and accusing you of those horrible things, and people around you are listening and looking at you. So it's hard. It's really it hurts a person from within. But I keep on going back to my faith and my beliefs in what is right and what is just and truth, and to know that if I won't fight, other people will fight, but each and every one of the soldiers in this fight for Israel is important. And the fight is not only, again, as I said in the beginning, it's not only in the Gaza Strip, it's not only in the border with Lebanon, where just yesterday a soldier was killed. It's not just there, it's also here. It's also the fight on hearts and minds, and the hearts and minds of people. We're losing many hearts and many minds of people in this battle. So I know that if I'll stop, and if I'll just stop that and go back to Israel and keep on with my life, it won't be effective. And it's my share to do for my people and for justice, for true justice, for the Jewish people.
Yeah, to keep your composure. I think that's the thing, is to keep your composure under fire like that and not want to just reach out and slap them. And that's what's amazing to me, is the self-control, when you're under fire like that. All right, another question. Yes.
Can you tell us some of your success stories?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I usually share the positive too. There's a lot of positive. There's no just negative. So I told you about this Jewish student that took off his Star of David. For me, it was one of the most significant moments as the person as a Jewish person, to see another Jewish person come in and tell me I feel proud to wear my Star of David. And once I was speaking in this university, and there was one of the students said that she came back from Palestine, and she saw what's going on, and I said, wow, that's amazing, tell me what you saw. And she said, you built this huge wall. And I said, yeah, well, you saw all of the wall? Because I saw all of it. Did you see? And she said, no, I just saw some of it. And I said, okay, I drove over it, so I saw all of it, and it's not. And she said, okay, but what about all the things that you're doing? And she kept on giving more and more points, and I kept on counterpointing her and tell her what is the truth. And I said, do you think that you might have just not see all the big picture? I told her, how many places in Israel did you visited? So I didn't visit any place in Israel. I came from Jordan through Amman to the West Bank, and then I left through there. I said, okay, so you didn't saw anything about Israel. You didn't went to Jerusalem. You didn't went to Tel Aviv. You haven't saw the real Israel. And let me ask you another thing. I said, how much freedom did you have in the West Bank to go around by yourself and to look at other things other than what the people that took you there showed you? And she said, I just saw what they showed me, and if I wanted to take someone from the Seattle-Tacoma airport and drive him around Seattle, I can make him think that Seattle is the worst place on earth. And I can make them take them to the worst places and show them the poverty and tell them, you see, this is what the people of Seattle are doing to these poor people. And then drive them to the airport and tell them, thank you, goodbye. And they will go back to where they came from and say, wow, it's such an awful place. I don't want anything to do with Washington or Seattle. And this is what they're doing to them. And you see them, they take them to the West Bank and they show them the worst things that they can show. And at the end of the presentation, we have a lot of discussion, and I said, you're making an amazing points, and we should definitely talk more. And after my presentation, she stayed and she talked to me, and she was in Palestine with a group called ISM, the International Solidarity Movement, the same movement that took Rachel Corrie from Evergreen, that put her in a war zone and told her, this young American girl, just dropping her in a war zone and telling her fight for justice, and she got it. Unfortunately, she got killed. So this girl went with the same group, and this irresponsible group that they were the one that were responsible for Rachel Corey's death. And I spoke to her more about it, and at some point she said, you know what, they actually sent me to this closed military area, and they told me that we need to protest there, and that was really irresponsible by them. I said, yeah, I think it was really irresponsible to send you, a 19-year-old American girl, to the West Bank and tell you to go to a closed military area. What kind of insanity is that? And she said, at the end of our conversation, we had an amazing conversation, and she gave me her contact details and her Facebook, and she said, add me on Facebook, and since then we've been in touch. And she promised to go back to visit Israel this time, and not to visit the other side, which is great. So this was something that really affected me, really helped me keep on going on. I said, wow, I changed one person's mind. In another event, at the university in Seattle, there was a professor that was in one of my speeches, and she screamed at me, and at the end we were telling her, I said, well, I don't want to repeat her name because I don't want to, I mean, she has her own sick beliefs, but anyway, I said, you know, she's actually Palestinian, and she said, you know, your country took everything I have, and look what you did to me. And I said, well, you know, you have all these beliefs. Let's sit down and talk. Let's have a dialogue. Let's start a dialogue. And the crowd around us listened to us. Some of them were pro-Israel, some of them anti-Israel, some in the middle. And they listened to us, and they listened to the conversation that I had with her. And she said, no, I will not sit down with you. I will sit down only if you agree that you are an occupier, that you stole my land, that you stole my country, that you killed my people, and gave me a list. And I said, well, I said to myself, you are a true Palestinian to have all these conditions to sit down and talk to me, but how about we'll just sit down and talk about all those things that you mentioned? You know, we can disagree, but let's have a dialogue. She said, I would not sit with you. And the people that were sitting around saw exactly which side is willing to talk and which side is piling these preconditions that I have to agree to, you know, to say that I was such that my country is such an awful country before we can even sit down and talk. So I think that in this case I didn't change her mind, but everyone around saw what a change I'm doing, and this is actually part of the thing that I'm doing. Whenever I'm facing an anti-Israel speaker, and you can, if you ever face anything like that, you can do it yourself. When you see someone that is making this nonsense and this accusations against Israel, and you want to decide whether to do it or not, you know, there's 10% that is anti-Israel, that really hates the Jewish people and the Jewish country, and there's 10% that loves Israel and love the Jewish state and love the Jewish people and don't have problem with Israel, and there's 80% in the middle. And the 80%, some of them didn't make up their mind, some of them never heard about it, some of them just saw some hate speech in CNN, and this is what they remember. And these are the 80% that we are targeting. So if someone from the 10% that is anti-Israel is coming to you and you have a discussion with him and he's saying, yeah, well, you know, Israel is killing all those people. If it's just you and him, maybe it's not worth your time or your energy. If it's in this 10% that you understand that it's very radical in his hate. If you're talking to someone and there's people around you that you know that are part of the 80% that didn't make up their mind, sometimes it's important to talk to this hater to change other people's mind, to show them his true colors. And their true colors coming out immediately, don't worry. Immediately when you get to a conversation with them, everyone around see who they really are. And I think this is part of why, why I keep on fighting, because I see the effect that I have not on the anti-Israel people, but the people around them. And they see that, it's an easy walk for me when I have people heckling me and screaming at me and saying that Israel is not a true democracy. In the name of free speech, they don't want to let me speak. So, it shows who they are and who am I. So, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, another question. Anybody? Oh, they want you to restate the email site there they could go to.
So it's campus, C-A-M-P-U-S, at StandWithUs, StandWithUs.com.
campus@standwithus.com. So those that are live streaming from around the United States, whatever state they're in, they can go to that website and they can get involved, right?
They can go to StandWithUs.com, our website, and get involved. It's, you know, we can't fight this battle by ourselves. We need help. We need more people to help us. It's such a huge battle for Israel to fight by itself. So nonetheless, the people that love Israel in America, so whoever can help us, we need your help, and we need you to find in whatever way you can to help us fight that, because the other side is doing it because of their hate to Israel, and to make people act just because of their love is really hard. So I want you to take this step for, you know, make this leap of faith in your love to this country, and we need you. We need your help. So yeah, thanks.
All right, great. Okay, go ahead.
Hi again. So my question is that 80% you were just talking about. I've definitely seen a lot of this type of dialogue that you speak of happening not just in person, but online, on Facebook, other social media outlets, and of course, especially on like a college campus, that's definitely where that age demographic is that really uses social media to further whatever purpose they might have. And so my question is just, have you seen the effects, in a sense, of this virtual organization, happening on campuses? And if so, how do you think that we can use social media to like mobilize, in a sense, or talk to that 80%?
Yeah, I think that social media is a big part of this fight as well, because in social media, today you can post something and in 2 minutes, 100,000 people will see it. It's amazing. And I know that most of the anti-Israel groups are using this social media through Facebook, through Twitter, through Instagram, through whatever they can. Instagram is an app to use to upload photos, and they found a way to use it to advocate against Israel's existence. And they're doing it in so many different ways. So I feel like, yeah, there is a lot to do in the social media, and I think that if you can find pro-Israel groups on Facebook, it's an amazing thing. If you have Twitter account to tweet about Israel things, if you have any other social media that you are familiar with and you can do anything about, and you can use it to advocate for Israel, it's important. It's important when you get into a discussion on social media, not to, before you're sending it, read it like 3 times. Because whenever I'm seeing something anti-Israel in social media, immediately I'm writing something, and after 2 seconds I have to delete it because it's too harsh, and I don't want people to. I'm upset because it's how dare you say those things. But it's important to read it a couple of times, and before you send it, and making sure that also think of how people that are not involved will read whatever you wrote. Yeah, and social media is a way to get to, I'm having Facebook friends from Toronto, and Facebook friends from New York, and Facebook friends from Australia, and London, and Paris, and all over the world. People are, it's one global village, and this is a way to affect mine. So I'm using it myself. I'm always sharing articles. I'm always informing people of what's going on. If I was in an anti-Israel event, I'll be sharing it so people will know what's going on. So yeah. I think it's a great tool.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, Katie.
I would be curious to know if you're able to get to some of the local synagogues in any of the states that you attend, and what's their response?
From the Jewish community. So there's many people in the Jewish community support our cause and support advocating for Israel. Some of them, some of them are shaky. They are, just like I said, Jewish Voice for Peace, this organization that is very anti-Israel. They have a rabbinical council of rabbis that are very anti-Israel, and it's sad, it's sickening even sometimes to see that. And I mean, Jewish people feel like they feel like they've been told all their life that they should not criticize Israel, and the Jewish people that hate Israel now are the one that were told that they're not supposed to criticize Israel. there's a fair criticism towards Israel. You know, you can criticize every country. You know, no country is perfect, and the secret is that Israel is not perfect either. We make mistakes, but we are trying our best to move forward and to fix our mistakes and to be better. But Israel is, you know, this is another thing that is important, to make sure that someone is really not just hating the Jewish country or hating the Jewish people. You can use the 3D test, which stands for D as delegitimization, double standards, and demonization. If anyone is using one of these to criticize Israel, it's not a criticism. It's a hate speech against the Jewish country. So if it's delegitimize the existence of a Jewish country, it's coming from hate. If is demonizing Israel and saying that Israel is like this big devil, or you know, there used to be these pictures of vampires with the Magen David, with the David Star that used to eat Palestinian babies in the pictures that they use. So that's demonizing Israel, and that's coming from hate speech. And double standard. If you are applying standards to Israel that you don't apply to any other country in the world, then it's a problem. And that's the same goes to the American Studies Association. They have never boycotted any other country. And the country that they choose to boycott, the first country on earth that they choose to boycott is Israel. Where does it come from? Why won't you go? What about the 200,000 people that were killed in Syria? What about the people that were killed in Egypt, that was killed in Libya, that were killed in Afghanistan, that were killed, you know, don't get me started on the list of human rights violations in the world. But Israel, the Jewish state, so this is the 3D. So I feel like that many people in the Jewish community are afraid of criticizing Israel, and if they're not afraid, they're going all the way of being anti-Israel. You know, if I'm going to criticize Israel, I'm going to be very anti-Israel. So I feel like they need to find a balance on saying, okay, I love this country, it's the country of my people, my brothers are living there, but I can criticize it and still support it. There's no problem in being, you know, you can be a pro-Palestinian and pro-Israel. There is no conflict. You can say that you want that Israel would have peace with its neighbors. Israel wants to have peace with its neighbors. And you can criticize Israel as well. And, you know, Israel is, when I came back home and I told my friends that so many people criticize us, it was weird to them, because us and Israelis, we always criticize ourselves. Any Israeli, and that's a guarantee, any Israeli that you'll ask will have a criticism for the Israeli government. We're not happy with any government. There was left-wing parties, there was right-wing parties controlling. There's always, but that's democracy. There's different opinions. There's people with different opinions talking to each other and voting and getting their own government. So I feel that many people in the Jewish community are conflicted about it. And other than Jewish Voice for Peace, there's other organizations that are saying, you know, we are pro-Israel, pro-Palestine, and pro-peace, and this is why we need to criticize Israel and fight against Israel. Jewish organizations. I'm saying, where do you get the nerves to say that you are pro-peace? What, other organizations are not pro-peace? That you are pro-Palestine and pro-Israel? So what, you think that we are calling to kill all the Palestinians? No, we are supporting whatever the Israeli government will do. They are the ones that need to make the call. They are the one, you know, I'm here, I won't go to vote while I'm here. When I'll go back to Israel, I'll do whatever I want to do there. But from here, I don't feel like I'm entitled to force Israel to do one thing or another, you know? So that's what the conflict I feel for the Jewish people is.
All right, thank you.
I'm sorry, it was long.
Oh, no, that's okay. Just a second.
Okay, so I'm sitting here thinking about, because I've dealt with a lot of the folks that stand up and scream obscenities and whatnot. And when you talk to them, they don't know what apartheid is. They don't know what genocide is. Mm-hmm. They don't really fully understand the BDS movement. In fact, they don't really understand why they're there. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about American kids, college kids, and the campuses. So they're really not hateful. But the people that are feeding them this information are hateful. So you got to do a balancing act even in that. When you've got a young 18-year-old college student standing up screaming obscenities to you, and yet he doesn't know why he's doing it, doesn't know anything about Palestine, doesn't know anything about the history, doesn't know anything about Balfour, nothing. There's really not hate in that person. It's It's unbelievable, but yes. So how do you said the American college student is kind of unique. And it's because they don't have a clue what they're standing there talking about. And you know that, and you're standing here having a dialogue. How do you have a dialogue with somebody who doesn't know anything, and they're standing there screaming at you? How do you do that?
I mean, it's important for me to come. I completely understand. I completely agree that there's many college students that their heart is in the right place, and they want to fight for human rights. They want to fight for equality. They want to fight for one world with no borders, as I said before. But they've been fed this propaganda. They've been taught that Israel is the worst human rights violator on earth, and it's the worst country on earth, and we should all fight against it to bring to its destruction. And then they fed with this hatred, and eventually they goes to. When I was talking about people with hate, it's not those students. There's many students, just like the student that I told you that went to Israel, went to Palestine and wants to go back to Israel to check it out. She really didn't know. She didn't know otherwise. And for me, it's important to educate those people, and it's important that you guys will educate those people too, and that you guys, if you have a conversation with someone and you'll show them the truth, and you'll speak the truth, and it's important to outreach to as many people as we can, and it's important to have a dialogue with those people. I feel like it's to be open to whatever they want to say okay, I really respect that you have this opinion. Maybe I don't respect this opinion, but I respect that you have an opinion. So let's have a conversation. If you have any questions, maybe you should wait with all the screaming until the end of my presentation and then ask me. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they sit and then they ask tough and annoying questions that I can, just like you said, really want to grab them and say, don't know what you're talking about, you've never been there, so shut up. But I'm saying, wow, that's an amazing opinion. Even though you've never been in Israel and you have all these strong opinions, that's amazing. Can we have a conversation? And sometimes I even stay with them after the speaking event. So yeah.
One thing that I want to share that I think is so important, the main thing I think most everyone believes is education. They don't really know. So I want everyone here to know, everyone live streaming to know, one of the best booklets there is out there is called Israel 101. You can download it for free from our website. Okay, just go to our website and go where it says you're linked to Israel, and up at the top is this little red icon. And you click on that, and I think it's in a dozen different languages too. So those people that are live streaming from other countries, you can download it in any language, but it really goes into all the facts of the nation of Israel, its creation, and what's going on, and it's a free download. So I really recommend that.
I've got kids that would just love to know that carbonation thing you talked about with the syrup. They're always wanting to drink soda pop. I know it's kind of a silly question, but I can't remember what you said.
It is Soda Stream?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. So yeah, it's not stupid, it's good, it's a great question. Yeah, Soda Stream, it's an Israeli company, and it's this is one of their targets. So
Vicky and I have one. You can go to Costco. It's just this little white machine with a little tube on it. It has a little CO2 cartridge in the back, and you just put a little bottle of water in there, and it carbonates it. And then you can pour it into a glass and add juice or whatever you want to, but it's a great...
Mark, you have one?
I just wanted to thank you so much for coming and for sharing all this information with us. And I know we have some neighbors that have some opinions, and one in particular is an atheist and isn't sure what exactly he believes. And so we've been trying to, my husband particularly, has been trying to encourage him, but I wondered if you had anything that you could maybe add to that we could help him understand and help him, help him to know the truth about Israel and why he should be supporting Israel. Because as far as he's concerned, they're on their own. They should deal with things themselves, so.
Right, and it comes from why should America support Israel?
And why should he, and why should he even be concerned? And He just doesn't see the value of it.
Right.
Ask him about the Nobel Prizes that all the Israelis have won, but that's probably what's keeping him alive.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Israel have the highest number of Nobel Prizes per capita in the world, and it has the, outside of Silicon Valley, Israel is the place that developed the highest amount of technologies in the world. Israeli innovation is being used every day. My laptop is not only the sticker that I have here that is from Israel, also the computer chip was invented in Israel. Instant messaging was invented in Israel, emails, everything that is using in his day-to-day life. And you can get all this information in the Israel 101 that you mentioned in your website. And you can get it in StandWithUs. There's a lot of material too that you can find. And Israel is part of your day-to-day life, and people don't realize that they're using Israeli products every day. Microsoft is developing, Bill Gates was just saying how amazing the Israeli technology is, and they said that Microsoft can be called an Israeli company as much as they can be called American company, because they develop half and half. Half of the development is in Israel and half is in America, so that's amazing too. And Facebook has opened their only developing center outside of the US, outside of Silicon Valley, in Israel. And Google is opening offices, and there was an Israeli company just a few months ago that was bought for $1 billion by Google. It's called Waze. It's an app that you can have, I'm sure Mark have it. You can have it on your phone, on your iPhone or Android, whatever. You can download it. It's called Waze, W-A-Z-E. And it's a GPS application that it's based on social driving. So it tells you what's the best way to go through comparing other people around you. So Israel is leading the world in innovation, the highest number of doctors per capita in the world. And again, the first one to help in the Philippines, the first one to help in Haiti. It's the only democracy in the Middle East. You see the Middle East and you see what's going on there. And anyone, with a thinking mind can understand what's going on in the Middle East. And it's a mess. And the only place that is safe, the only place that is secure for anyone, even Palestinian Israelis that are standing in the Israeli parliament. There's many Israeli Arabs that are being elected to the Israeli government, and they stand on the Israeli government and call for Israel destruction, but they can do it because they are protected to do and say whatever they want, and it's the only place in the Middle East that they can do those things. Okay, so we can show you some of our material, and we can send some down here. This is the Israel 101, it's the StandWithUs material. It has tons of information, and can really, to educate others, to educate yourself. I learned a lot from this. As an Israeli, you never need to prove yourself why you have the right to exist. But here I have to, it's the first time I had to go through it and understand why I have a right to exist and why I am why. It's amazing, but yeah. Thank you, America.
I just wanted to state that Hadassah Medical, Dr. Shapira is developing a vaccine called Vaxil, and they are testing it as curing multiple myeloma.
I'll pray for that. Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Let's give Hen a big hand. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming here tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. You're the man.
Thank you.
All right. See you on Shabbat. There's tables back there if you like to get some literature. Thank you. If you have any questions regarding the material discussed, please contact me at my email address. It's pastormark@elshaddaiministries.us. Be blessed and shalom.